This meeting is being recorded.
All right, crew. You could aptly title this segment on episode 54 of the Spicer Speaking podcast as One Door Closes and Another One Opens. Regular listeners know that I've spent the better part of the past month, if not several months, lamenting, if not occasionally berating the departure of the LPGA from our desert sands. But we didn't have to wait long before receiving the excellent and exciting news that Mission Hills, come March of 2023, will be home to the Galleri Classic and PGA Tour Champions. Here to talk a little bit more about that and last week's announcement is the president of PGA Tour Champions. Welcome, Miller Brady, to the Spicer Speaking podcast. Miller, welcome to the Coachella Valley, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today. Really appreciate it. Exciting.
It is exciting, and we appreciate you. Let's start with this, man. Kind of pull back the curtain a little bit. Obviously, the announcement came last week about the Galleri Classic coming to the desert with PGA Tour Champions. When we look back to the departure of what is now the Chevron Classic, that announcement came back in October. I got to think that the golf wheels were turning a little bit in the interim for that tournament leaving and your tournament coming into the Valley.
Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, I can back up probably, 5 to 7 years in conversations with a lot of our players. Our players have always wanted to come back and play a Champions Tour event in the Coachella Valley. And great idea, great demographic, great setting for us. We can play there early in the season. All of that works well. But it was my opinion at the time that, the market was a little crowded with the PGA Tour event and then the LPGA. So we weren't going to bring a third event early in the season at that time. But to your point, in October, when Chevron and the tournament made the announcement that they were going to move that event, permanently to Houston, then definitely the wheels started churning. I started having conversations internally that we need to find a way to bring our product to that market. Don't leave a void, if you will. But you can't do it without a title sponsor. So we started looking a little bit, having a handful of conversations. And then fortunately for us, Grail as the parent company, Galleri as the product, came together really quickly. And so we wanted to, make an announcement soon after the ladies were leaving to where we could get into the market and hopefully continue the momentum and legacy, if you will, that they have.
It's interesting that obviously the Champions Tour, PGA Tour Champions, has a history in the desert, and obviously a lot of the players on your tour have their own respective histories playing in the PGA Tour event in the desert. When you say that the players came to you, what were a couple of those conversations like, more specifically?
Well, we've always needed to add one early season event on our schedule. And there's only so many places you can play that time of year. We're not going to go play in the Midwest or in Minneapolis. You need to find the warm weather destination. And it was just natural that the desert, Coachella Valley, was part of that conversation. And look, a lot of our players, they go there early in the year to warm up before our season really gets going because it's a great place, has tremendous golf courses. And so it just kept coming up. The players are like, well, why can't we play there? And, I'd have to remind them again that we're not going to go there as long as, there's a handful of events in the market.
A few things that you mentioned that I want to touch upon. The players, I'll get to that in a moment. I think to first touch upon some of the demographic that you mentioned and why this would be seemingly an ideal environment to host a PGA Tour Champions event. I mean, I'll be honest, man, and I've said this on this program, and I've said it in pretty candidly in many articles. There was a painful irony in the final Chevron Championship in that in my 11 or 12 years covering that event, this last year was the most populated I've ever seen it. I mean, it was pretty sad out there on Thursdays and Fridays of that event. It was pretty tumbleweedy, and that was a major championship, the first major championship of the season. And I think for a variety of reasons we don't need to get into, but the LPGA, it just kind of got away. It got away from the desert a little bit. What you guys are coming in with is a product and a playing field that would seem to ideally match those who inhabit the desert proper. To me, it seems like a great fit, man.
Well, we certainly feel that way. I mean, it's who most folks grew up watching play, and to some degree, they're going to be a lot more relatable at this point, you know, with the demographic in the desert. And so I know our players, you know, I was up and down the driving range over the past 2 weeks, and the conversation is all about the excitement to come to the Coachella Valley next March.
You also mentioned my hometown, my home state. You mentioned Minneapolis, and in a former life and my native Twin Cities. It's been a dozen years since I've lived there, but one of the highlights of my year was annually covering the former 3M Championship, which is, of course, now the 3M Open on the PGA Tour, same golf course, but on an annual basis. It was a wonderful week, whether it be dealing with Hollis Kavner out there at the TPC, one of the most unique guys and entertaining guys in the world of golf. As you said, people are familiar with your players, but as far as the PGA Tour Champions product, maybe those who have never been to an event before, the word that comes to mind and always did is that the whole environment was wonderfully accessible. Whether it be the players, the vibe, the mood, the galleries, so much of it was accessible. Is that a word that comes to your mind with your tour?
I think it's a great word. Accessibility, the ability to get up close and in person with our players, whether it's in the Pro-Am days or the competition. I mean, to be honest with you, one thing that we do, we like to encourage our rope lines to be as close as possible to the fairways and the greens, not far away. And we do that strategically because we want the galleries to be able to feel a more intimate atmosphere with our players, and our players embrace it.
And I could tell that. I mean, folks out here that have gone to the former Chevron Championship is a major, and a lot of the women, they were tense. I mean, at the PGA Tour event, yeah, it's an early season event that we've got out here, so it's a little looser than when you get into the heart of the PGA Tour season. But a lot of these guys are playing for their lives. They're playing for almost 7 figures out here. From a media perspective and also from a fan perspective, at the 3M Championship, everything was so loose. Everything, I loved going there, interviewing the players. There was never any of the tension that I felt interviewing a PGA Tour player or an LPGA Tour in the middle of an event.
Yeah, look, I think what you'll find is that once the competition starts, yeah, our players are serious. They want to play well. They want to win. They want to perform at their best. But they still appreciate the reason they're there, the sponsors, the spectators that are out there. You know, look, some of them may get overly focused, if you will. But at the end of the day, they're great. I mean, we're very lucky. I think you know this from Minneapolis and 3M, but for everyone else, we have a 2-day Pro-Am. So we'll have Pro-Ams on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we do a 54-hole competition Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And look, they're still going to play pretty darn well, but they're going to embrace the spectators that are out there.
Friends, you're tuning into episode 54 of the Spicer Speaking podcast. My pleasure to have Miller Brady, PGA Tour Champions President, as my guest, talking about the exciting, the inaugural Gallery Classic. It is coming here to our desert March 20 to 26, 2023, which is a ways away, and which is to say we'll have more opportunities to talk about this leading into that debut event. As mentioned, Miller, Mission Hills Country Club, the Dinah Shore Tournament course, same host tournament course for the Chevron Classic. is the host course to your event. Did you ever talk with any other clubs or courses about being host?
To be honest with you, we did not. We have a relationship with Club Corp. Their CEO, David Pillsbury, formerly used to work at the PGA Tour. So I know David very well. We play a handful of venues that Club Corp owns. And for us to continue the legacy, if you will, really not necessarily the legacy, but to continue the momentum right there at Mission Hills was important for us. We know what we're getting. It's a tournament-ready golf course. You know, we can back it up a little bit for our members. It was a natural fit. And because it came together quickly, that's one of the reasons we decided that Mission Hills was the right place for this year.
Probably way too early to be talking about course agronomy, players, but a few things I do want to touch upon is that as the Dyna course was setting up and preparing for a major championship, there were a lot of changes, sometimes more dramatic than others, to the agronomy of the course. Typical course setup for PGA Tour champions, you might not have a 4 or 5 inch rough, which is to say, for members listening, and I know that there are a lot of Mission Hills members that listen to this program, can maybe assume that some of the changes of the course setup wouldn't be as dramatic as they have been in the past?
Look, I wouldn't think so. I mean, we're going to place our tees a little bit further back. We average probably 7,000-yard golf courses on our tour. Most people think it's significantly shorter. It's not. These guys hit it a long way. Yeah. But no, we're not gonna grow rough 4 or 5 inches at all. That's not the intent. The intent's to go out there, showcase how great our players are, let people see some birdies, and have a good time.
Talk about the players, some of your players a little bit. I mean, hearkening back again to that 3M championship, I can remember specifically, and this is one of the more compelling golf interviews I've done, was with Bernhard Langer. And this was, a while ago now, but just, a couple of years into his Champions Tour career. What really stood out to me was how fit, was how incredibly, I mean, it shocked me. And that was the compelling part, was standing next to this guy that was, at that point, he was, well into his 50s. He was remarkably fit. And then he did this display for the media where he was hitting golf balls, hitting driver from his knees on the driving range. And we all marveled at this guy. To me, Miller, one of the most underrated records in golf. It should be talked about more because it speaks so much to longevity, to health, to fitness, is Bernhard Langer chasing Hale Irwin. He is 2 away. Bernhard Langer, just a couple of sides, not only is he second all-time in PGA Tour Champions wins, he's second all-time in European Tour wins. He has won every single year, including this year, that he has been a member of PGA Tour Champions. I think it's 16 years in a row. Can we somehow time it where he breaks the record for the inaugural Gallery Classic? Can we make that happen?
Well, we may need to slow him down just a little bit, but yeah, to your point, what he's done is more than amazing. And you're 100% right. He does not get near enough credit for his career, what he's done out here, what he continues to do. He's amazing. He's a guy that if he wins on Sunday, he's going to be the first guy at the golf course the next week on Monday morning. It's unbelievable. So he puts in the hard work. Enjoys the time out there, but he puts in the hard work to win.
The talent level of men in their 50s going into their 60s right now, it's deeper and more interesting than ever. I mean, what we saw with Jay Haas playing with his son Bill Haas last week, he broke a near half-century PGA Tour record by breaking the cut, which is to say PGA Tour Champions just gets deeper and deeper as far as playing field with each year. I looked at a couple guys that are soon to turn 50 or might be there in a few years. We got a lot of Brits, Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, Richard Bland. These could all be future PGA Tour Champions players in upcoming years. Is that something you keep close track of guys that are on the clock to 50?
It certainly is. In fact, over here in my office, I have a file that says oncoming player list. So we talk to the guys when they're 48 or 49. I mean, look, David Duval just turned 50. He's out here playing. He was part of our announcement when in the desert last week, which was great. He's excited. Justin Leonard turns 50 later this summer, so he's coming out. But to your point, when you look at the depth of this tour, it is probably as strong competitively as maybe has ever been. You throw in Mike Weir, Ernie Els, Darren Clark, Jim Furyk, Stuart Appleby. I mean, these are not only great players, but great names to have on our tour, and they're all very competitive.
A couple other names I need to mention. Obviously, we're a long ways away, but they're guys with either Southern California connections or close desert connections, guys that have lived here a long time. Fred Couples, not playing for a variety of reasons, injury reasons, as much as he once did. And of course, when he came on PGA Tour Champions, he had a ton of success. He was the biggest name on that tour. In some respects, he certainly is still one of them. I mean, heck, all his desert friends, neighbors, connections, just by him coming out here, I think would be a nice boon for the tournament.
Listen, we love Freddie and everything he's done for our tour and for golf. I always hope that his back is doing okay, because when he's healthy, he likes to play golf. He likes to play competitive golf. He likes to play in front of spectators. And so if we can keep his back healthy, he's going to come out and play a little bit. And we're excited for that.
Phil Mickelson in some circles, so we don't need to revisit all the reasons why, but kind of persona non grata in the golf world right now. However, he wasted little time making his debut on PGA Tour Champions and doing so with a ton of success. I thought there were a couple really great stories of him jumping right on there and winning those events. Would it be a weird crossing of golf worlds, Miller? Obviously, his foundation, his name is no longer associated with our PGA Tour event, but I think pound for pound, if you ask 10 people if they'd like to see him 3 months later at Mission Hills Country Club, you'd probably get 10 people that would say yes. I will add to that while the Amex has had some great fields in recent years, he always had the biggest gallery. I think it would be pretty cool to see him play out here at Mission Hills Country Club. I got issues with Phil Mickelson, as many do, but for him to come out and play in the event, I think would be an awesome get.
Look, we agree with you. I agree with you. Phil moves the needle at our events, as he does on the PGA Tour when he plays. Look, we're hopeful that he makes it back out because when he's out there, people want to see him play. We want to see him play, and we want to see him play at a high level with the rest of our guys out there. So, yeah, I certainly hope that he's there.
I need to mention one more Southern California guy, a guy that not only was not a host name of our PGA Tour event, but actually has never played in the PGA Tour event. Probably the only thing I have in common with Tiger Woods, Miller, is that we are almost the exact same age. We're a couple months apart, which is to say that in October, I turned 47. I believe for Tiger Woods, in December, he will turn 47. Look, it's gone a couple different ways with guys of his level, and he's on his own level. But you look at Nick Faldo, Greg Norman, they dabbled. They had a cup of coffee, PGA Tour champions or some of the senior majors. But beyond that, they just seemed like they didn't want to dedicate the time. They went into other more business endeavors. What do you think chances of Tiger Woods playing PGA Tour champions in 3 years?
Well, look, let's assume for a moment that he's healthy enough to play golf, right? Which we all hope that he is. I'm hearing from some of our guys that he wants to try to play. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to come out here and play 15 or 20 times a year. But look, he can take a golf cart when he needs a golf cart. So gives him a little bit more flexibility in his endurance, I would say. So if he comes out and plays a handful of events for us, that would be a shot in the arm. So we fully embrace really whatever Tiger wants to do, but we look forward to when he turns 50.
Okay, so writing down here in my notes, 2026 Gallery Classic, Tiger.
Yeah.
Something certainly.
I didn't make promises, but I certainly hope so.
I think we all would, man. Miller, so appreciative of your time. Obviously, an exciting announcement for the desert, the Gallery Classic, March 20 to 26, 2023. professional golf coming back or staying at Mission Hills Country Club down the way in Rancho Mirage. Anything that we should be paying attention to, keeping track of between now and as the tournament grows near, sir?
No, really, look, just follow the tour week to week. You can see how great our players are, how exciting the competition is, and they all look forward to being out there next March. So thank you for your support. We can't wait to be there for the tournament.
Miller Brady, PGA Tour Champions President, so appreciative of your time, very enthused and excited about the announcement. We'll be keeping in touch as the tournament grows near, sir.
Thank you.